in altered states, including dreams, people and visions that people can, of course, have visions that are merely fantastic or merely made up visions. But they can also have visions that are encounters with actual beings, and that's true of all dreams. You have a dream about your grandmother or somebody, and you might be actually encountering your grandmother. It's not just a symbol of something in you. That would be the way that I would see the shamanic worldview is different from the psychological worldview in modern science, as part of modern science, where even with Jung, everything is interpreted symbolically. And the role of symbols is profound, but it's not the only thing that's going on. So when you have a dream, and in altered states, including psychedelic states, that to me is one of the key aspects of the practice of working with psychedelics, is you have to learn to discriminate between what it is that you're seeing, and when is what you're seeing merely a working out of your own unconscious psychological dynamics or family dynamics or whatever it is, on your own fantasies, and when is it actually a visionary encounter with certain beings in which you're being taught something.
So how do you do that?
Through practice, the methods of yoga, mindfulness, concentration. In the studies that I've done and interviews with people, who've worked with psychedelic expanded states of consciousness, I find that the people that get the most out of them are the people that have studied meditation and concentration and yoga, because if you're able to maintain mindfulness, and I've come to think of the process of divination as a process of asking questions and getting an answer. So when you go into an altered state, when the usual kind of divination, you go out of the rational framework by using something like the I Ching or the tarot cards or something like that. And but with divination and shamanic divination, you go into an expanded state of consciousness that could be through rhythmic drumming or through taking a substance. And it's interesting to observe that in South America, the shamans, when they want to do divination, like when they want to get answers to a specific question, they tend to use a smaller dose of whatever it is that they're working with. Because if you have a too intense dose, your perception is going to be kind of overwhelmed by the unusual body sensations that you're going to get. You're not going to be able to remember to be able to ask questions or obtain the answers, or things are flashing by too fast. So you want to be able to maintain one-pointedness and ask a question. Say you're asking a question about, if you're a shamanic healer, you're asking a question about how to heal this person, what's the problem, or how to undo the sorcery that this person has had. So you have to be able to concentrate, and then the way they would see it, their spirits that they've previously established a relationship with, teach them the answers. And that's traditional in shamanism too, when you're working with the rhythmic drumming method, which I've studied with Michael Harner and his associates. You go onto the rhythmic drumming journey. They call it a drumming journey, with the beat of the drum as sort of the medium that carries you into that state. But you have a clear question on your mind. You want to heal this person or yourself, or solve a problem of some kind, and you go to the place, and the spirits teach you, they guide you, take you there, and they show you. And when you read Maria Sabina's accounts of the way she would work with the mushrooms, it's the same thing. She would go, take the mushrooms, and she'd connect to the little spirits of the mushrooms. She called them los niños, the little holy children. And the little holy children would say, go to this wood where there's this tree that has this leaf that looks like that, and take that and pick that up and come back and make a poultice and put that on your patient's stomach, and that'll draw the infection like that.
So how do you determine if you're getting good advice or not?
Well, by testing, just like anything else. Test it out. If it works, it works. Jeremy Norby did these studies with these scientists that he took to the tribe in South America and took ayahuasca, and they had specific questions that he wanted to ask about molecular genetics and molecular biology and so forth. Questions that I couldn't ask because I don't have that language, and they could ask their spirits, questions about that were specifically meaningful to them, and get answers that were specifically meaningful to them. So I think that supports the way that I have come to think of it, is that when you take these tryptamine and others, but particularly the tryptamines, including, I would say, LSD and mushrooms and psilocybin and DMT, all of these things, it enables your brain and your perception to attune to different levels of consciousness. And then the meaning that you extract depends on how much you've explored those levels of consciousness and what language you've developed for communicating it. The shamans don't use the language of genes and molecules and so forth. They use serpents and like that. And but then that enables them to tune their brains and nervous system to that molecular cellular level. Obviously, they have to be, because they are able to make changes at the molecular cellular level, and they describe serpents going all over the place and like that. And I've experienced that. I mean,
Well, yeah,
it works that way.
Yeah,